We're going to go ahead and begin and convene our Monday, November 20th, Budget and Finance Committee meeting. We will start with resolutions. RS 2017-963 sponsors Virtue, issues the general obligation bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $133,215,000. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Councilman Cooper.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chairman. A quick question on these items. Did you want to take questions from the council by category? Or did you just want to go by councilman? Because I have a series of questions on the different capital appropriation amounts.
For the sake of time, Councilman Cooper, we'll take your questions in an aggregate.
Okay, thank you very much. If we could start with schools, that would be marvelous. Thank you. I see Mr. North here. And I didn't know if Mr. Profit was here. My first question on the $8 million for Hillsborough High School, has the GMP been signed for Hillsborough High?
It has for the moment.
You will have to translate that.
Okay. During the course of the process of beginning the construction, getting the contractor on board so that he could lock in his prices that he had during the course of bidding, we went through a process to determine how we could get the project under budget. We looked again at the capacity of the school and various other elements of the design, including the site layout, and we found several ways to cut the original amount, which was $13 million over the budget, or the construction budget at the day of bidding. We were able to do that for a much less amount, but having said that, there were some unacceptable site design issues, and when I say unacceptable, not the best design. The community, the Hillsborough community, was not in total agreement with some of the decisions we made in order to get it under budget. So we did that. At the same time, the request was asked for the supplemental funding, and so we had to go ahead with that request.
Okay, so with this $8 million, what does that bring the total for the high school improvements to be for Hillsborough?
96 million.
96 million, and the occupancy of the school is expected to be 1,200 students now? 1,400 students now. And that does not include the cost of the land because the city already owned the land.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you for being here. Second question, what is now the all-in price for the School of the Arts? In this appropriation is an additional $2.3 million. Mm-hmm. We appropriated some last year.
That is correct.
What's the total price?
Councilman, I can get you the total number. We have two prices, one for design and one for land. The land price that we had was roughly $10 million. The state, during a process, and Metro Properties can be more clear about it, I'm sure, but the state went through a process of reappraisal of the property because of the timing, the amount of time that it took to get that number, and found out that cost had elevated.
So we're buying this from the state?
That is correct.
Okay. And so you will get to us what the all-in land cost is of the site.
And design as well.
And the confirmation that this would still be the best place for the school with this new price. I mean, it wasn't that we came there because it was a good price and it was a pretty good location.
Yes.
Because this is a full price, should be an excellent location.
We think it's an excellent location for the visibility and the high visibility that it will be, that will focus on Nashville School for the Arts.
And how many students projected?
Projected between 800 and 1,000.
800 and 1,000. Next education question, what is our total maintenance need? I see here They're $7.25 million in capital budget for maintenance. That's $7.25 million out of what is our projected maintenance, our need right now?
Projected need is probably closer to 100 million. When we talk about plumbing upgrades, electrical upgrades, painting upgrades, interior improvements, HVAC upgrades, which is the largest cost item. Typically, it's I think last year's CIB request was approximately 30 million. So it's relatively large.
And how many facilities is the $7.25 million projected to be spent on?
Well, I mean, if we spread it around, it's we have 160 buildings on 157 campuses.
Well, but surely some of them are receiving.
Some of them are more critical than others. Yes, sir.
Okay. We could also get the list of where that this $7.25 million is projected, as well as where that $100 million that you were talking about is needed.
That is correct. In fact, at the end of January, we'll be submitting, as you know, our CIB request for next fiscal year, and you'll see those numbers quite expressly.
Great. So you would have both sets of numbers.
I can have, yes, sir.
Thank you so much, David. Appreciate it. And knowing council people wanting to ask, I'm sure, education questions, let me yield back the time, Mayor Lady.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. So here's sort of my question. When Ruby Major became overcrowded and we got money allocated for adding on to there, when it got started, what we found out was it wasn't enough money to actually do the 12 classrooms. So two questions that I have here. Why is it we're coming back saying it's not enough money, we need more, when we were told out in my district that, I'm sorry, this is all there is? That's number one question. And then the second question is, once all of this is done, what percentage of your operational budget will now be for debt service as we move forward into the next 3 to 4 operational years?
Councilman Glover, I can't speak to the operational piece of it. I can speak to the capital. We'll be glad to get you that information on the operational, the debt service number. Capital construction, if you would be so kind as to repeat that question.
So Ruby Major was overcrowded, had a bunch of portables around it.
Yes, sir.
And I don't remember if it's now 2, 3, 4 years ago, whenever it was. We had money allocated to build 12 additional classrooms to do away with the overcrowding situation and to do away with the portables. When all was said and done, there was additional costs. They just ran into some things that cost more money than was anticipated. And rather than adding the original 12 classrooms, what we were told is, well, too bad, this is all the money there is. And so it had to be cut back to just 10 classrooms. Why are we not exercising those same things as we're looking at some of these other projects in town? And maybe I'm missing something, but I just know that we weren't able to expand and come back and ask for additional money in order to handle that school.
Right. Let me say this. I will find out answers for you on Ruby Major because it was sort of before David's time, and
Right.
I'll go back and look at that. Be glad to. We do, though, however, going forward, we have been looking at those things, just like the Hillsborough issue. Originally the budget was X number of dollars. Obviously, because of the market conditions and the price overruns, we went back and we looked at that. And we were able to reduce the capacity that was originally designed into the building. I've been doing it on the next round of numbers. For next fiscal year, we've been doing the exact same thing, looking at those exact same conditions. Do you really need an 800 or will 600 suffice? And we've gone through a new facilities conditions and assessment scoring process, as you're familiar with, and we have some new data that allows for those kind of changes to occur.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chair. I'll look forward to that information.
Yes, sir. I'll get the Rose Bank, get that to you as soon as I can.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Lady Allen.
Madam Chair, quick question for Public Works, if someone's here from there. Great. The question is about the money that's allocated for traffic management. If I could just get kind of a summary of what that would include.
Okay. I'm Sharon Wallstrom with Public Works. Council Lady, we had several projects that we are in the process of finishing, and we needed additional money to complete the process. It's been through the design and several other phases. One is Warner Park traffic mitigation. We had established some money for that. The Hillsborough Village crossing at 21st, 4th Avenue and Malloy Signal, and Division Street side covers. The remainder is going to be spent on traffic calming, intersection improvement, parking signals, Vision Zero, and et cetera.
So that does include traffic calming?
Yes, it does.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Council Lady. Vice Chair Schulman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So this applies, I guess, all across the board, both to education and anything else. And some of you also may getting some of these pretty nasty emails being sent to us about cost overruns. And I guess I was listening on the education part, we're talking about market factors and other things. And I guess I don't know who can answer it. I don't know if several people can answer it, but it seems like on some of these things, we put out an amount, and then before we can ever really do anything, we're already under budget, over budget, and we have to add a pretty significant amount of money. And so just in response to some of those emails, I guess I'm asking, how are we missing this on the front end? I mean, we know that we know what kind of market we're in, but it seems like we're missing pretty severely. And maybe I can ask the education folks and anybody else, maybe Public Works has some information as well.
We'll ask Mr. Prophet to address the overruns.
Specifically to the particular project at hand, the Hillsborough High School project, the consultants used a contractor as part of their estimating process. At the time of bidding, we found, obviously, the overrun on the cost. And we found that it was due to 5 specific areas: HVAC, plumbing, electrical, painting, drywall, metal studs being one. And that was all attributable then to the material or the labor cost within those numbers, okay? This was something that was an anomaly. It literally came up and hit everyone. There was, the contractors were surprised. We had very few bidders. This particular project was a very complex construction that didn't eliminate, but it reduced the number of subcontractors who probably were qualified to bid such a large project. Now, with all that said, moving forward, we're trying to go about a different process to get a contractor on board earlier so that that contractor owns the price from schematics, design development, construction documents, and that the number that we bring to the council is one that is close, excuse me, as close as accurate as we can possibly get. And that's what we're trying to do moving forward. This particular issue is, lack of a better way of saying, is an anomaly that we did not expect. We do know through some other research that escalation costs have gone up. I'm looking right now, I've been looking at 3% this past quarter, and looking ahead, it's going to be closer to 4.5%. And so we're recalculating all of our budgets and estimates right now on any projects now going to be coming forward to you. Did that?
Well, I guess that helped explain some of it, but I think there's other things in here, and maybe this is a question for the administration on some of these. I think there's more than just this one project that seems to need extra money to finish it off. And so I'm
Would
not
you
sure.
like Public Works to come up and
Either
to
Public
address?
Works or the administration, just to explain what we're doing to make sure that we don't end up with, I don't always understand that sometimes projects require a little bit more money, but it seems like several of these projects are requiring more, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in the marketplace that's really causing this significant increase.
Which Public Works projects were you referring to, or just in general?
I think it's just in general, overall. What we got was, and I don't have all the information in front of me, but we were getting emails from people who are listing the projects and saying these are cost overruns. What's going on?
The projects that I was mentioning earlier, as far as traffic management, those are projects that were started. We had funded for the design and for some of the right-of-way purchase, but we had not funded for the remainder of the project. And so this is a request to finish for the remainder of those projects and then to fund the ongoing things such as traffic calming.
Okay, and then the last question would be maybe to the administration. Were there some other projects that actually ended up costing more? I think at least one of the emails talked about the ice rink out in Bellevue. Those are important projects. The question is, are we experiencing
Yeah, Councilman,
extra money?
that project actually is not a cost overrun. If you recall, we bought a smaller capital spending plan to the council earlier this year, and we had only allocated a portion of the need. So what's being allocated in this capital spending plan for Bellevue is just the remaining funding needed to complete that project. It is not for an overrun. So many of the projects that are listed on this report is just continuation funding to meet the total capital needs for those projects. They are not overruns.
So we only, what we're seeing is we only funded part of it in the last resolution, and now we're finishing it up.
Yes, and that has specifically to do with Bellevue, and speaking for Public Works, that would be true for the Century Farms Roads project. That's just another phase of that same project, and it's not a cost overrun.
And that's for with IKEA moving in.
Yeah.
Can you give, the last question, what's the total cost of that traffic improvement?
I think Sharon, can you help me here? I think we did 8 million last time.
I think we did 7 million last time.
Okay.
We had looked at 8 million this time, and we think that maybe we can come up with some cost savings, and we put in for another 7 million this time.
Okay.
And there is a cost sharing with that. The state's contributing some significant funding on that project as well. Do you have that number, Sharon?
No, I don't have that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Councilor Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. Let's see. I think several of my questions have been answered. I wanted to inquire on some of the items for Parks and Recreation. Specifically, I don't know if there's somebody here from Park. Hello, Mr. Nate. To inquire about Capitol View, Centennial Park Master Plan. I think we just spoke to the Bellevue. But could you just speak to the remaining items that are in Parks and Recreation in this supplemental, please?
Sure. I'm Tim Naich with Metro Parks. The Capitol View project is a approximately 3-acre new park in the North Gulch area, north of Charlotte, and it was part of a larger ordinance that was approved by this body a year or two ago related to broader infrastructure costs or cost share with the developer of that area of the Gulch.
Can you speak to the cost share? Because I know there was some conversation at the time that while that is an amenity for the general public, it is very, it's beneficial to that development. And there were some conversations around the Greenway and the parks. Can you speak to the cost sharing aspect of that?
I can't speak to the specific terms of the agreement. It wasn't something that I was a party to, but my understanding is that what the developer, Northwestern Boyle, is contributing to the project is the value of the land, some work related to demolition, at least partial design fees, some anticipated future land donation related to making the connection to the existing Gulch Greenway, and then some general grading work on the site. So the estimate that I have for that is about $1.2 million. And then the $2.5 million is the estimate that we have for the full development of the park.
Okay, then, so for the private developer Boyle related to land, demo, design fees, future land donation related to the connecting greenway, the value that the administration is attributing to that is $1.2 million?
That's a number that we have from Northwestern Boyle.
Okay. Ms. Lodemax O'Neill, have you all as an administration, that's a number provided by Boyle. How do you all value that contribution on the part of the developer?
I'm sorry, I did not hear the question.
Okay, we were inquiring about Capitol View and the amount in the supplemental. Mr. Nate was speaking to the number provided by Boyle as far as the sharing aspect for that park and the greenway connectivity. Boyle is pricing the value of that at $1.2 million. Have we independently assessed the value of their contribution to this?
Councilmember, I'll have to go back and check on that. I'll get you an answer first thing in the morning.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I'm happy to share what we have on that as well for you.
Okay, great. And then, Mr. Nate, if you could just walk us through the remaining parks and
Centennial Park Master Plan, this is implementation of Phase 2 in the park. So it includes the re-engineering of the Great Lawn, new walkways, alleys in the park, the West End entrance, Parthenon lighting, and other improvements. The design has been completed on this. We're in permitting right now, and we will be able to get it in the queue for bidding as soon as these additional funds become available.
great, thank you. And then just generally to the Greenways funding?
Yeah. Well, Parks General Maintenance,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just a deferred maintenance fund, so that's used for major repairs countywide as needed. And the Greenways 2 million is largely will largely be allocated to the Opry Mills connector, and this will go. Most of this will go toward design fees, and then there is a small project on the Mill Creek Greenway that will connect Mill Creek Park to the east side of Mill Creek near Culbertson Road. Cumberland River Compact is taking out a low water bridge, which will improve conditions for the migration of aquatic habitat, particularly the Nashville crayfish, and then we'll go back in with a greenway bridge.
Great, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Bettany.
Well, I was going to say something about, I want to say how excited I am about what we just heard. So I guess this is a question or a comment for the administration. So as we engage in bidding and contracting for projects, we're going to be doing lots of projects. I think it'll be beneficial, Chair, if we can maybe get a brief, not today, but I want a brief description for us and for the people that are watching Channel 3, or a cost plus contract, or having a bidding process and signing a contract. What constitutes what is a real impact of an amendment to a contract? Because we're doing all these projects, and there are, in some cases, like if there is a building, it's an old building, there may be hazardous materials that we won't find out until we start peeling the building off. I think I heard over the last month, as we were talking about the fairgrounds and other projects, that people were talking about unforeseen and new costs added to a project. And I think we need to understand what is the legal procedure to engage in a contract with a builder, with a general contractor, and how to keep it under control. And I trust the administration is looking at ways to save our revenue, but I think the people that are watching it on TV need to, and some of us need to be able to understand how that works. Why is that one contract is more appropriate for one type of project and a different contract is more appropriate for a different type of contract? A good example is what happened next to the Century Farms project, where they started digging to do this road, and they found, nobody knew, but there was a gas line underneath. And they, by them having to deal with a gas line, that created an additional cost for the project. So who pays for that? What is the contingency? What is the amount of money that is set aside? How much of that liability is taken by the contractor? How much of that money is taken by the bond? How much is taken by the city? So I think a little brief, as much as possible, explanation of how that works may be beneficial as we tackle all these new projects that we may be doing in the near future. Thank you, Chair.
I noted that, Councilman Bettany. Thank you so much. Councilman Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. A quick question for our Finance Director. With this CSP, our backlog will be where? How big will our backlog be?
Well, I thought it was in here in my metrics, but I didn't bring it with me, but I can get that to you in the morning. It will be a significant number.
A significant number. You kindly submitted something on the soccer that had it at about 1.5 billion. This would be additive to that,
Yes, it would.
probably. Okay.
Yes.
And we are spending on capital at about $30 million, between $27 and $30 million a month.
Yes.
Okay, and that trend has continued these last 6 months.
It has continued. It's actually been a little bit higher than that over the past few months because we have some significant, some projects that are really moving right now.
Okay, but it wouldn't be inappropriate to think of the backlog as in years at this rate, at the current rate that we are spending.
No, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you. And then a quick question for stormwater. If anybody from water is here, just the question on the $10 million for stormwater.
I believe we have Director Potter.
Here's Director
coming.
Potter. And our materials weren't specific as to what this was for. Is this consent decree money or is this a property acquisition?
It's just stormwater funding in general. We're not asking for more money. This gives us the authority to spend the money. We've run out of authority to continue projects. This is just merely funding what we already have.
Is this a revenue bond then?
It's just regular stormwater revenue.
So this is a revenue bond and not a GO bond?
Correct. Well, it's not really even that, Councilman.
No, it's a GO bond for stormwater.
Well, go ahead.
It is a GO bond for stormwater, and then the stormwater fees will be used to retire the debt.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Cooper. Council Lady Johnson, Mina Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since we heard from, let's see, school and parks and stormwater and public works, could we hear from general service, IT, and library, and to give us what each line item will be and where they are on the project and so forth?
Absolutely, Council Lady.
Velvet Hunter with General
You're on.
Services. Can you hear me? So the first item we have is the Criminal Justice Center at $17.6 million. The bulk of that are for upgrades that are driven by the downtown location. If you recall, the original funding was for the site to be built at Harding. So we have underground parking and exterior facade, plaza upgrades that complement the adjacent designs at Burt and the historic courthouse. There's also the 60-bed behavioral care center to reduce incarceration, and then there's a small amount for construction escalation over the 2-year period. Also in that $17 million is $2.7 million. That was for security upgrades at the Harding site, and that was driven because the soccer fields were remaining active there at the Harding site. Female housing at the CJC. It was expected that the original expectation there would be about 251 females per day, and it's actually about 300 a day. So that's what makes up that increase for female housing. On the police headquarters, that $7 million is to add a floor, making it 4 floors instead of 3. That will accommodate future project growth, including the body camera program. The data center at the police data center at ITS is needed to build the infrastructure of the police data center and to make it a metro backup center. That'll include utilities, emergency power, access flooring, HVAC systems, and structural components to support the computer racks. Family Justice Center, that is to add a floor to that building as well to accommodate future growth. Demolition of the Jerry Newsom site. You may recall that you approved $20 million to build headquarters for the sheriff's office. At the at the time that the decision was made for it to be at the current site of Jerry Newsom, that $1 million is for demolition of that. And the 1.5 is to relocate the about, I think, 125 sheriff office employees to temporary housing while the construction occurs at the Jerry Newsom site.
Libraries.
Good evening. I'm Ken Oliver, the library director. Our portion of this bill is really quite a bit of going back and improvements and upgrading old systems throughout the library. We have infrastructure projects that include fire pump controls, lighting control upgrades, HVAC box replacement, control boxes, power washing, security upgrades in the branches for security cameras and badge access, bollards for security, some interior upgrades and replacements where they're needed, signage where it's needed, some AV systems upgraded. We also have additional funding to continue the renovation at the main library. If you've been following what's been going on at the main library, we've kind of been working down from the 3rd floor, and we're ready to go after the popular materials area. Thank you.
And then IT.
Good evening, Keith Durbin, Information Technology Services Department Director. So I've got 3 items, and then I want to have a slight comment on one of the items that Velvet Hunter from General Services mentioned. She mentioned the work at the new data center at the police headquarters. I just want to make clear that it's understood that is infrastructure for that site only. So that's cabling, that's electricity, that's backup capability. That is not the actual computer hardware, the servers and things like that in that space. So it is anticipated we will come back some future date and request those things. The first project that we have is actually a continuation. Many of you know we provide the network and own a fiber network around the cities that supports metro projects. So we are asking for $774,000 to continue work that is in support of projects such as MTAs, initiatives, the Public Works, traffic signalization priority programs, police body cameras in a number of selected locations around town. It will also let us provide some additional services for the water department. The second item is a request for funding for Microsoft security software. Many of you, if you're following the news, the bad guys are always changing their tactics. It requires us to become more sophisticated to maintain the appropriate level of security. So we're looking at software from Microsoft that that we're licensed for under our enterprise agreement that will help secure the IDs and passwords that you use, that will let us do what's called dual factor authentication, and it will also give us some additional tools to watch our traffic and make sure we are catching when somebody is trying to attack us. And then the final item was also mentioned by General Services. As you know, there was an additional floor added to that criminal or police headquarters facility. And so there is additional infrastructure for that floor that's separate from the data center, and that is around cabling and networking and those types of services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durbin. Did you have any more questions, Council Lady Johnson? Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Chair Vertriger. I'd like for General Services to come back up if they would, please. I had some questions particular to what she had shared with us.
She's coming.
Thank you. I'd hoped to ask her at the time, but I wasn't in the queue, so. Thank you. I just want to, I'm looking back at my notes, and I wonder if we can just unpack this a little bit more and break out some costs. Ms. Ledmax O'Neill had shared with us that, you know, the majority of these expenses were not, as the community was concerned, overruns. But in hearing kind of how you're describing these projects, I guess it seems to be kind of you know, the plans changing in progress. So from a community standpoint and accountability standpoint, can you speak to the Criminal Justice Center? You mentioned underground parking, the Behavioral Care Center, $2.7 million more dollars because we kept soccer uses at our off-site relocation. Can you just unpack all those and quantify them, please?
Sure, and I think that is right. They're not really overruns to the projects. The projects did change. In the Criminal Justice Center, the original location, the funding that was approved would have built the site at Harding, would have built the Criminal Justice Center at Harding, but because it was built downtown, there were additional costs, and that's what about $15 million, based on being in the downtown location, requiring underground parking, plaza upgrades, exterior facade that needed to be consistent with the surrounding buildings. And then the 2.7, which is part of that 17 million, like I mentioned, was to, because those soccer fields were going to remain in use at Harding, there was a need to put perimeter fencing and security cameras in place since the Harding site was still active.
So perimeter chain link fencing and cameras cost $2.7 million. Okay. How much does the underground parking cost?
I don't have a breakdown for each of those upgrades that make up that 15 million.
So if it had been at the Harding location as, I mean, I think we all understand why there's the thought moving it downtown makes more sense because you're centralizing those services, areas of need and so forth. But the difference between surface parking versus underground parking.
Correct.
So can you all quantify the cost of that parking for us?
Yeah, I can get that for you.
I know the Behavioral Care Center has received some positive attention, but can you quantify specifically how much that?
I don't have the breakdown of that 15 million, but I'll get that to you.
Okay, I think those breakdowns are important for the community to know and see, and for this council to see. Could you speak to female housing at the CJC? You thought that you would be housing how many?
The original estimate was 251 per day, and it's actually about 300 per day.
Okay, so I guess my question is, I mean, when folks come to us with a project of this scale, with anticipating, you know, run the analysis, think that it's going to be 251, you know, this council funds that, and then, you know, surprise, now it's 300 per day, and we need $8 million more dollars. I think this is kind of in the spirit of what Councilman Bednay was saying. It's just, you know, it's once the project's already a go, then who's going to say no to $8 million more dollars for, you know, 50 more beds? But are we really having the conversation, colleagues, about is that a necessary expenditure and what might we do otherwise? I just think, I mean, what led you all to reassess that now you needed 50 more beds and that was going to cost us $8 million more dollars?
I'm thinking that someone from the sheriff's office might be better equipped to answer the original
that'd be great.
projection, do you think, for 250 and why it became 300? And there's also a contract for paying for those services.
A contract with whom?
You probably can explain that better.
My best.
Okay.
I'm John Hudson with the Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, sir.
Actually, the original plan was to have 256 additional beds. We reduced that by 256 beds when we moved downtown.
Okay, so you anticipated you would need 500 beds.
Pardon?
So you're saying in addition to the 251, you acknowledge you need, are you saying
No,
256?
there's 756 or 750 beds now. We had originally had planned for over 1,000 beds. We reduced it by 256 beds when we moved downtown.
Okay, so you've reduced the number of beds, but you need $8 million more dollars.
Yeah, that's different, right? So I think the projection was 251, is that right? And now there's 300, averaging 300 per day.
And that's temporary housing?
Yes, they're being held at Core Civic.
So at Core Civic, out on Harding Road, for temporary housing for 50 more women for how much time?
Until June 2019.
So for 2 more years, for 50 more women with Core Civic, we're paying $8 million more dollars?
I think that's what it adds up to, is that right?
Can you break down all those costs? Why does it cost $8 million more dollars? Do we have a cost per person that we're paying Core
Yes,
Civic?
there is a per diem.
That we monetize per diem people and say that that's how much we're paying. So 50 more people per an existing contract are costing us $8 million more dollars.
We can get you those numbers.
That'd be great. Let's see, new police headquarters at Murfreesboro Road. Why are we adding a floor?
That is to accommodate growth there, and one program that will be housed on that additional floor will be the body camera program.
Is that the only program that'll be housed there? We're adding a whole floor to accommodate the body camera program?
My understanding is that the police department would want to explain the need for that additional floor.
Somebody here?
But I don't see anybody.
Council Lady, we could send that request over to get that information back to the committee. And
Yeah,
also
can we
you.
make sure they're here tomorrow night to address that, please? Okay, we also added a floor to the Family Justice Center. Can we speak to why we've done that?
Sure.
Hello, Diane Lance, Office of Family Safety. And yes, so in starting the planning for the Family Justice Center, it became what I would consider very quickly apparent that we were not having enough space for the partners that were coming in. As you know, a Family Justice Center isn't just co-locating Metro employees, but the essential partners such as the Department of Children's Services and the Nashville Children's Alliance. So there are multiple reasons for a third floor. One is in terms of growth. We kept reckoning back to the juvenile court. It was built. It was barely satisfactory on the day it was built, and they were busting at the seams. So there was a lot of conversation about how we avoid that situation. It looked like we were walking right into that. Despite, honestly, best efforts to consider how much space, how many offices, and in terms of estimating what growth might be. But with all these partners, I think it had some innate challenges, and we just did our best with that. Secondly, the other thing is by statute now there are some vulnerable adult mandates. A VAPIT team, we are expecting a significant increase in elder abuse prosecutions because of the creation of that team. It's modeling exactly after how we do our child sexual and physical abuse teams, which is another full-on coordinated response that should be housed in a family justice center. So the existence of elder abuse, we are looking at potentially putting that on the third floor, and then that allows for growth space for our Nashville Children's Alliance and moving a training complex onto the third floor. And we are heading very quickly to being considered a really national model for how we're doing our work in domestic violence, and our Family Justice Center is going to be the largest that exists. And having a training complex that is sizable enough to have a conference and not just house 50 people from within that building was looking more and more important to be able to accommodate tours and, again, Family Justice Center and other domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse related conferences. So that's how we ended up in that situation of looking towards the need for a third floor. I mean, I certainly wish that 2 floors would have done the job and we didn't need to go that route, but that's where we ended up, Councilwoman.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
That's it, Chair Vercher, thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady Henderson. Council Lady Weiner.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. Have a question on that $10 million for stormwater. Is there somebody here that can answer that?
We'll have Director Parter come back up.
He would be a good option. Try to lighten the mood here. Could you please speak to the $10 million allocation in the stormwater? Just give us an overview of what's included in it and why there's a line item there for self-funding.
Okay, it'll be for capital projects. The GO bonds will be refunded using stormwater revenue, and we have to have the authority from y'all to spend that money. So as I see it, it's a pretty straightforward bond issuance, funding capital projects, we pay the debt service.
That cleared it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Bettany.
It's a question for Mr. Keith Durbin.
Mr. Durbin?
You're wondering what I'm going to ask you.
Sure.
About the data center on the police. Why do we have to build a data center at the police headquarters when we have another data center? What's the deal with that?
So one of our key takeaways after the 2010 flood was a metro-wide backup data center. We have one. It is suboptimal at best. And so at the time, we had a group come in who is actually working with us to develop this data center. We worked with 15 metro departments and agencies to set this direction. And so when the opportunity came and the police expressed interest in having their own data center, we really worked with the administration, the last administration, frankly, to take the opportunity to use it as a backup data center for all these departments and agencies. So it'll be kind of a swap. So our primary will be the public safety community's backup, and the public safety community's primary will be our backup.
So I take it's hardened and it has generators. And
correct.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Lady Murphy.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Since I'm not on this committee, but I wanted to be here to hear a lot of this conversation, I've noticed that a lot of the committee and all of our discussion has gone on, that a lot of these things are that we're asking for details that, quite honestly, I thought this weekend that I had just missed an email with more of the listing. I didn't realize that this Exhibit A was our only list. I thought I would find the email today that had more spelling out. And so a lot of us have requested more information by tomorrow night. And I think that moving forward, we as a group need to just request of the administration that some of that information is provided ahead of time, so we're not having to go through as many just listing of projects in committee that I think could probably be listed out in this exhibit or another document. Thank you.
We're on the resolution. It's been moved and properly seconded. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution passes. RS 2017-964, sponsor Virture, amends the 2017-2018 capital improvements budget and program to correct the technical defect that includes a water and sewer project. I believe there's a substitute. Is there a motion to move the substitute? It's been moved and properly seconded. Do you want to explain the substitute? I'm going to ask Mr. Jameson to explain the substitute.
The substitute just reflects that the Planning Commission has approved this request.
Did y'all hear that? Y'all stay with me. Seeing no discussion on the substitute, we're now on the bill as substituted. Give me one second. Okay. All right, now need, I'm sorry, it's been a long evening. An approval on the bill as substituted. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is approved as substituted. RS 2017-965, sponsors Virture Mendez and others, declares surplus and authorizes grants not exceeding $4,553,245.30 from the Barnes Fund for affordable housing to certain nonprofit organizations. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Seeing no discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution passes. RS 2017-966, sponsors Virture, authorizes the employment of Leaf, Cabrazier, Hyman, and Burstein LLP as special counsel to investigate claims against manufacturers and distributors of prescription opioids that have wrongfully caused drug addiction in Davidson County. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Councilman Mendez.
A question for Legal Director Cooper. I saw that it was a pretty detailed contingency fee arrangement. I gather you looked at what other cities have done in order to figure out how to negotiate that?
Of the 5 firms or consortiums of firms that submitted responses, theirs was, Leaf Cabrazier was actually the lowest cost and is lower than what some other firms in other cities and states have been procuring. So we felt good about that. Plus, we already had a relationship with them on some other litigation that they're involved in.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Leonard. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution passes. RS 2017-967, sponsor Virture, authorizes the Department of Law to settle the personal injury claim of John Green against Metro in the amount of $60,000. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution passes. RS 2017-968, sponsors Virture, authorizes the Department of Law to settle the personal injury claim of Rodney Washington against Metro in the amount of $25,500. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed? All in favor? Opposed? Resolution passes. Stay with me. RS 2017-969, sponsors Virture and Allen, approves an organics management grant from Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation to encourage the reuse, composting, and beneficial use of organics to decrease the disposal of these materials. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution passes. RS 2017-970, sponsors Gilmore and Virture, approves an amendment to a grant for the Greater Nashville Regional Council to Metro Social Services to provide nutrition, home, and community-based services to eligible seniors throughout Davidson County. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Vice Chair Schulman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I need to recuse myself from this one.
So noted. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution passes. RS 2017-971, sponsors Allen, Virture, Gilmore, approves an amendment to contract between the Metro Board of Health and Vanderbilt School of Medicine as a member of the CDC Tuberculosis Trials Consortium Studies. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution passes. We're now on bills on second reading. BL 2017-912, sponsors Schulman and Murphy, amends the Metro Code to require Metro Social Services Commission to open a Metro-operated facility at night for people in Nashville when temperatures reach 32 degrees Fahrenheit or below. Is there a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded. Vice Chair Schulman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is the bill that is trying to get Metro to open up a shelter when the temperature reaches 32 degrees or lower outside. Part of this was designed to get all the parties that work with folks who are homeless together around the table to come up with a much clearer working arrangement between all the parties. They have come together. We don't have all the places and all the pieces in place at this point, but we do have a working arrangement to provide shelter, which is good. We're going to keep working on it, but at this point, we can do it without the bill, so I'd like to defer indefinitely.
There's been a motion to defer indefinitely. It's been moved and properly seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor? on the deferral and on the indefinite deferral? Council Lady Gilmore.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. I just wanted to publicly acknowledge Councilmember Schulman for withdrawing his bill and being willing to continue to work with the Homeless Commission and Social Services. I know this meant a lot to you, but I shows the true testament of your character, that you're pulling the bill and continuing to work on it. So let us know what we can do to help.
Thank you, Council Lady. Seeing no further discussion, we're on the deferral, indefinite deferral. All in favor? Opposed? Bill is indefinitely deferred. BL 2017-949, sponsors Mendez and Vercher. Adopts the debt management policy for Metro government. Do we have an amendment? We have two. Councilman Mendez.
There were two amendments that were handed out to our desk in the last hour and a half or so. I'm not interested in either one of them being added to the bill. If the sponsor wants to take a shot at them, we can go for it.
Thank you, Councilman Mendez. Councilman Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and I apologize to the sponsor whose work on that policy, management policy, has just been terrific. It occurred to me this afternoon rereading the policy, and I apologize for being late, in this rereading the policy of what improvements there might be, and I came up with these two amendments for the committee to consider. I think both of them are useful and what would normally be in debt management policies, and that if we were going to adopt one, we might as well seek to improve it each time. The first amendment is basically requesting a consolidated debt, and if you go to page 5 of the debt management policy on 2017, there are 4 or 5 debt metrics that are requested. This would be adding 2 more metrics. For total consolidated debt and then per capita consolidated debt as being a useful background for policy, and then the whole policy is considered that way. And then the other amendment is just a conflict in picking underwriters, that underwriters would not also be providing consulting feasibility, advisory, or accounting services, while also in a negotiated transaction underwriting the bonds, to have a separation of interest there between underwriting and providing other services. As financial firms have gotten bigger and bigger, it's often hard to separate these services. And so I would request the committee consider both of these sort of last-minute improvements to the debt management policy of 2017.
Councilman Cooper, I think it'll be more just procedurally wise that between committee and council meeting tomorrow, that you work with the sponsor, and if befitting, you could suspend the rules tomorrow on the floor.
Okay. Well, equally, since so much of the work happens in your committee, I did want to go ahead and raise these questions for people in the committee, and that we could go ahead and discuss these amendments.
We can definitely do that, but we've heard from the sponsor as it relates to the amendments for the bill. I'm just trying to give you a little more latitude for you to be able to work with the sponsor between now and tomorrow for y'all to come to a consensus if that's the case, and then you can suspend the rules tomorrow with the support of the sponsor if deemed necessary. Okay. But it's totally up to you.
Okay. Well, that would be
my recommendation, is to work with the sponsor, because you've already expressed how he feels to the committee as it relates to the amendments.
Okay. I appreciate that, and I will do that.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mendez.
Thanks, Chair. And just briefly, so we passed an ordinance during the summer to requiring Metro to beef up its debt management policy, and we had a list of 10 bullet point items. that we wanted to add some information to the debt management policy. Metro Finance made a serious, significant revision to the policy, and the lens that I asked them to look through it with was the idea that we know that there's some calculation that they go through on figuring out how much debt is appropriate to Metro, and the request was that more of that thought process would make it into the policy, and they've done that. There is a balance here in that we need to make sure that our policy isn't limiting in terms of being able to get debt issued, and bond rating agencies don't have a problem with it. We need the policy to be approved by the state. The current language that we have in front of us for the revised policy has been approved by the state. Any changes would make it go back to the state. And then as far as the specific amendments, I think amendment number 2 would, I'll work with Mr. Cooper, but my feeling, and I think Metro Finance will confirm when I ask him here in a second, is that the terminology used in both amendments don't really speak to the terms of art for figuring out debt management policy. And before we get a chance to talk about these, I guess I want to ask Metro Finance whether they've got a position on the 2 amendments.
Director Lomax.
The amendments were just put in front of me 10 seconds ago, so I'm not going to provide any specific comment on that, but we have worked with you for several months, and we believe that we've covered everything in good faith that you've asked us to add based on the new requirements. So we fully support what is currently before this body.
Thank you.
Councilman Leonardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say I'd like to thank Councilman Mendez for all his work for months here and trying to come up with a debt management policy. But I will say, and I do appreciate Councilman Cooper's effort on both of these amendments, and I will say that Amendment 2, notwithstanding the semantics, seems like a pretty good amendment. So that would be something I'd be willing to support.
Thank you, Councilman. And there will be an opportunity for the 2 of them to work together between now and the meeting tomorrow. So thank you. Council Lady Gilmore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to see procedurally, I want to ask Attorney Jamison, I thought if it was, even if the sponsor pulled back the legislation in the committee, that another sponsor could still take it up if they wanted to introduce it to the floor. If you could just provide clarity on that.
With respect to amendments, they are essentially offered typically by an intending sponsor, but they're on the floor, they're in the packet for anybody to pick up and run with, so to speak. In this particular case, the 2 amendments were late filed, so there'd have to be a suspension of the rules, and there's no requirement that the committee approve or disapprove amendments. So he loses no ground or gains no ground by consideration tonight as opposed to tomorrow, in case during that time something can be worked out with a sponsor.
Councilman Cooper, were you seeking additional recognition?
Yes, and my apologies to everybody. It was just my rereading the policy.
No, it's okay.
This afternoon that I did feel that both of these would be a material addition to our work here. And again, I apologize for them being so late, but I do think that they're worth considering. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Cooper. Councilman Mendez.
Thanks. And at the risk of belaboring this, just wanted to address what my colleague from District 1 raised. On Amendment 2, and the administration can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think every underwriter provides consulting, advisory, and some keeping track of the numbers, accounting services. So I don't know that you can segregate out underwriting from these other services that are identified in Amendment 2.
I would agree that that's standard in terms of service provided.
Yeah, and so my point would be, I think the general idea of separating out sort of what I'll call pre-game consulting from the actual services, I definitely am in favor of that, and I think our next bill goes to that generally. But when it comes to bond underwriting, I don't think there's a reasonable way to segregate that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. The bill has been moved and properly seconded. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Bill passes. BL 2017-952, sponsors Mendez, Virtue, and others, amends the Metro Code to establish additional public contracting and procurement restrictions upon non-employees. Councilman Mendez.
On this one, I would like to move to defer for one meeting. The administration reached out to me today, let me know that there's a typo in there that we need to deal with, and there's one area of potential unintended consequence that they want to explore. They assured me we'll be able to figure that out before the next meeting. They suggested that they were directionally supportive, but we need to iron out the details and avoid unintended consequences. So with that, I would move to defer for one meeting.
Thank you, Councilman Mendez. It's been moved to defer for one meeting. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed? BL 2017-952 has been deferred for one meeting. And that concludes our Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Thank y'all for being so patient.